Coming to you from the Sir James Dunn Theatre in the Dalhousie Arts Centre, Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is the national finals of Reach for the Top. We're into our second semi-final game. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hans Budgie. I'm your host and quizmaster for this series, and we're looking forward to a great game today between two fine teams. They've already played some games and won their games thus far. One of them is going to go on to the national final against the team from Kingston, Ontario, which has already made it there in a previous game. Let's meet the two teams. First of all, the host team from Nova Scotia, from Horton District High School in Greenwich. We have Aaron Long, Tim Hereabout, Robin Bates, and Chris Lau. Their alternates not playing today are Raja Doak and Mark Bowder. Their coaches, Jim Fetty and Barry Leslie. And opposing them today from Gloucester High School in Gloucester, Ontario, we have Manyi Sun, Vivek Krishnamurthy, Jonathan Richardson, and William Godso. Their alternates not playing in today's game, Rob Kane and Alex McKenzie, and their coach is Kelly Oka. Looking forward to a fine game, but before we start, just a reminder, our judge, Hamilton McGuire, will be in charge of keeping things running smoothly, and his decision is final. And teams, we're going to start off with some short snappers here, 10 points on each of these. For 10 points, who is the Prime Minister of Australia? Try it, Robin.
Howard.
John Howard, good for 10 to start us off. By definition, how many legs does a crab have? Go ahead, Robin.
8.
It doesn't. How many legs does a crab have? Ontario? Try it, Vivek.
10.
10 is the answer. How many sheets of paper are in a ream? Try it, Vivek.
500.
500 is the answer. With his body buried in Westminster Abbey, whose decapitated head... Go ahead, Vivek.
Oliver Cromwell.
No, whose decapitated head was embalmed and put on public display by his widow. Offer it to Horton for a try. The Nova Scotia team, Robin.
Charles I.
It was Sir Walter Raleigh on that one. Let's see how we do on a famous wives and husbands question here. There are 3 of them for 30 points. Which wife of Henry VIII was mother to Queen Elizabeth? Try it, Jonathan.
Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn, mother to Queen Elizabeth I. Everyone knows of the legendary Marilyn Monroe. She was married more than once. Go ahead, Robin.
DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio, that's the answer I wanted. That was her husband, on one occasion at least. One of the greatest love stories of the Victorian age was the relationship between the poets Elizabeth Barrett. Go ahead, Robin.
Browning.
Robert Browning. You get the final part there on that famous wives and husbands question. Grab your pencil and paper if you require it for this math question. We're hitting the math early on in this game, and I advise you to listen to the complete question and then give me the answer, which is appropriate, and observe units whenever units are required. First of all, I want you to tell me what is the midpoint of the line joining the 2 points, x equals 4, y equals 8, and x equals 8, y equals 12. I need the coordinates. Try it. Vivek.
X equals 6, Y equals 10.
You've got it exactly. 10 points going for that math question. Try this question. Find the area of an equilateral triangle in which each side has a length of 2 centimeters. Okay, Tim.
2.
2 is not our answer. Offer it to Ontario for a try. Give you a moment more for it. Anybody have an answer? Must tell you. Okay, Jonathan.
2 root 5 over 2.
In fact, the answer is simply the square root of 3 centimeters squared. That's what we needed. And finally, if 2 to the power of x is equal to 8 to the power of 5, find x. Okay, Jonathan.
15.
15, that's the answer I have here. You get 10 points for that correct answer. And teams, you have to get ready now for our first scramble question. Team question, if you get the first question, you get the second parts for your team. So for 10 points, what maritime author is associated with... Go ahead, Jonathan.
McLennan.
It's not. With the fictional characters Emily and Anne with an E. Robin?
Montgomery.
Lucy Maud Montgomery.
Yes.
10 points going to Nova Scotia, and the rights to the second parts. The remaining questions deal with Lucy Maud Montgomery. And I want you first of all to tell me, in which village was Lucy Maud Montgomery born? Try it, Tim.
Cavendish BEI.
It was Clifton, Prince Edward Island. That was the village. Lucy Maud Montgomery's 1908 work, Anne of Green Gables, continues to be extremely popular. She published several sequels to this work. How many sequels were published? Try it, Robin.
6.
There were, in fact, 7 of them, 7 sequels. And in which city did Lucy Maud Montgomery die? Final part of our question. Robin?
Toronto.
She died in Toronto. You get 10 points on the final question. And Ontario, you're back in it now. Nova Scotia and Ontario contesting this open question on geographic regions. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to name the most populous city in the following geographic region. So I'm looking for the name of a city in each of these. So they're fairly rapid fire. First of all, the most populous city in Africa. Try it, Vivek.
Lagos.
Not there. I have to go to Robin on
Casablanca?
Nova Scotia. You said?
Casablanca?
And it's Cairo we're looking for. Most populous city is Cairo. Secondly, the most populous city in Asia. Try it, Robin.
New Delhi.
Go to the other team. Ontario gets a try on this one. Vivek.
Tokyo.
Tokyo gets you 10 points on that. And finally, the most populous city in South America. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo is correct on the final question there. 10 points going to the Ontario team. An open question here, 40 points available on these 4 parts on fictional settings. So try each of these. I want you to tell me, first of all, what is the fictional setting of Stephen Leacock's... Go ahead, Aaron.
Mariposa?
Mariposa, Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town. That's the correct answer. What is the fictitious town in which Robertson Davies set Go ahead, Vivek.
Deptford.
Deptford, that's right, as in Deptford Trilogy. And what is the abstracted locale in which a series of Thomas Hardy's tales take... Robin. Thomas Hardy's tales take place. Has to go to Ontario on this one. Jonathan.
Canterbury?
It's called Wessex. He called the region Wessex. And finally, in what place is Dante's Inferno? Go ahead, Robin.
Hell?
It's set in hell. Exactly correct for 10 points. I need a team representative to grab some art, the art reproduction folder that you have sitting in your bench, and make sure that everyone within your team gets the opportunity to take a look at this art reproduction, study it for a moment, and then we're going to have a couple of questions related to this one art reproduction. And it's a figure study 2 by Francis Bacon. In 1944, it hangs in the Tate Gallery, and it's a detail from that study. And first of all, I want you to tell me, this is a detail of a striking painting executed in what century? Go ahead, Robin.
20th.
It's in the 20th century, that's right, the 1900s. This work is an expressionist representation of the human figure by what English artist? Robin?
Francis Bacon.
You just got it in there before I was about to give it to the other team. Francis Bacon is indeed correct, 10 points for that. This painting is currently in the collection of what prominent British institution? Try it, Robin.
The National Gallery?
No, I'll offer it to the other team.
British Museum.
Try it, Jonathan.
The British Museum?
In fact, I just realized I'd given you that information. It's the Tate Gallery, and I gave that to you in the preamble, but fortunately, neither team heard me enough to remember it, or maybe unfortunately, but neither team picks up the points on the last question. Let's see how you do. Question on politicians. I want you in each case to identify the 20th century politicians who wrote the following literary works. So first of all, the 39 Steps, an adventure. Try it, Robin.
Simons?
An adventure novel written by a Canadian Governor-General. It goes to Jonathan.
John Buchan.
Or Lord Tweedsmuir, as he was also known. Correct for 10 points on that one. The Story of My Experiments with Truth. Try it, Vivek.
Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi gets you 10 points. That was an autobiography. And No Holds Barred. Try it, Robin.
John Crosby.
John Crosby, An Account of Life in Politics, written by former federal cabinet minister from Newfoundland, John Crosby. And we're getting very quickly into this game because we're already to our short snappers, which is almost the end of the first round. Let's see how you do on each of these prior to our break, teams. What name refers to the ill-fated crusade of 1212? Go ahead, Robin.
The Fourth Crusade?
It's not the Fourth Crusade. I'll offer it to Ontario. Try it, William.
Children's Crusade.
That was the Children's Crusade. Good for 10 points. What is a bisextile year? Try it, Vivek.
60th.
It's not. I'll offer it to Nova Scotia for a try. Try it, Robin.
200th year?
It's actually a leap year. That's the proper term for a leap year. And the mayor of New York City was returned to office. Go ahead, Vivek.
Giuliani.
Yes, Rudolph Giuliani, credited with making the city cleaner and safer. And the last short snapper, what instrument did band leader Guy Lombardo... Try it, Jonathan.
Piano.
He didn't. What did he play? Offer it to Nova Scotia, Robin.
Trombone.
He didn't. He played the violin. That is the final answer to those questions. 2 fine teams contesting this game, our second semifinal. We'll be right back for another round of questions and answers and a judge's official score to this point in our game right after this. We're back with a hotly contested semi-final game between the team from Nova Scotia Horton District and the Ontario team from Gloucester. And the score at this point in our game is confirmed by the judge. We have a very close match. Ontario leads with 120 points to Nova Scotia's 100. And we have an assigned question coming up. Aaron from the Nova Scotia team gets the first crack at it, and Man Yi from Ontario has to be ready in case it's missed. And from the description given, I want you to identify these Canadians very simply. So a Canadian in each case. First of all, for you, Aaron, he played Perry Mason and Ironside. Any guess coming from Aaron?
Pierre.
You said?
Burton? Pierre Burton.
Nope. I'll offer it to Man Yi for a try.
Raymond Burr.
Raymond Burr gets you 10 points on that. Correct for 10. And going to you, Tim, this actor played Captain Kirk on Star Trek.
William Shatner.
William Shatner gets you 10 on that one. Going to Robin. He was known as Wayne Campbell in Wayne's World.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers gets another 10 on that one. And over to Chris for the last one. What Canadian was known as America's sweetheart?
Shirley Temple.
No, it wasn't. I'll offer it to William.
Mary Pickford.
You get 10 for Mary Pickford on that question. And now we go to Ontario with Nova Scotia members being ready in case it's missed. This Canadian directed the Keystone Cops. Manyi, you get this one.
Keaton?
No, it wasn't. I'll offer it to Aaron.
Cameron.
It was Max Sennett. Max Sennett is the name we're looking for. And for you, Vivek, she played Lois Lane in Superman.
Barrett.
No, it wasn't. Tim, give it a try. Margot Kidder is that actress's name. And who portrayed Tonto on The Lone Rangers, Jonathan?
Jay Silverheels.
You've got 10 for Jay Silverheels. And moving finally to William, who won the 1986 Nobel Prize for Chemistry?
Alcott.
No guess correct from you. Chris, give it a try.
Michael Smith.
No, the name is John Polanyi. John Polanyi on that one. Grab your buzzers again, teams. We're going to a Canadian geography question. I want you to tell me, first of all, on this first 10-pointer, which province is known as the Garden? Go ahead, Jonathan.
PEI.
You got Prince Edward Island, correct. PEI will accept that. The Garden of the Gulf. Which province had its boundaries extended northward in Try it, Robin.
Manitoba.
Yes, in 1881, Manitoba, correct. And which province is home to an outport called Burgeo? Try it, Robin.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, the outpost, or outport rather, of Burgeo. Open question now, 30 points on the heart here, teams. What is the term for a regular but unusually rapid heartbeat? Go ahead, Jonathan.
A murmur.
It's not. Offer it to the other team for a try. Anybody have a guess from Nova Scotia? We're looking for tachycardia on that one. Which vitamin have doctors Wilfred and Evan Shute advocated for treating heart disease? Try that, Jonathan.
A.
It's not vitamin A. Offer it to Chris.
Vitamin D.
It's vitamin E, in fact, that we're looking for. And what term did Dr. Meyer Friedman coin for the heart attack-prone personality? Try it, Robin.
Type A.
You are a type A personality if you are prone to heart attacks. You've got it. And we move to a late 20th century writer's question here, teams. I want you to tell me, first of all, for 10 points, which Canadian author wrote The Cure for Death by Lightning? Robin.
Fonderega.
It's not. I'll offer to Ontario for a try. Anybody have a guess? Vivek.
Margaret.
No, it's Gail Anderson Dargat. So I'll stop you there and offer the next one for 10 points. Who wrote the Pulitzer Prize-winning theatrical epic entitled Angels in America? Go ahead, Robin.
Robertson.
Offer to the other team for a try. Ontario.
Guess name.
The answer? Okay, Vivek.
Maya Angelou.
Tony Kushner is the name on that one. And finally, which Canadian author wrote a 1996 novel about the notorious 19th century murderess Grace Mark? Go ahead, Robin.
Atwood.
Margaret Atwood wrote about murderess Grace Marks. You've got it exactly for 10 points. Opportunity for a quick 40, and this one could be important for you teams. 40, 30, 20, and 10 on these 4 clues. Let's see if you can pick it up on the 40-point clue. On this what am I question, I entered Confederation on July 1st, 1860. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Nova Scotia.
That's not the answer. Confederation, July 1st, 1867. What am I for 40 points, Tim?
Ontario.
It's not Ontario. Offered for the next clue. My provincial motto is Spem... Go ahead, Vivek.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick, 30 points. Going to Ontario. Spem reduxit, or hope was restored. That's the motto we were looking for. The province we were looking for, New Brunswick. And we go from our question on what am I, we now go to some musical questions. And you're going to hear some selections of music. And after the selections, you're going to be asked to answer a question based on my clue. And remember, you must wait for the clue before you give any answer. And the first selection is coming up now.
76 trombones led the big parade, with 110 cornets close at hand. They were followed by rows and rows of the finest virtuosos, the cream.
Name the stage. Go ahead, Robin.
The Music Man.
The Music Man. That's the stage and screen musical from which the song is taken, The Music Man. And what is the name? Go ahead, Robin.
Harold Hill.
You said?
Harold Hill.
And you've got Professor Harold Hill correct on that question. He was the Music Man. We've got another music selection coming up on this one, and then a clue. So the selection coming up now.
Cold as the fall, thermometer in December. If you ask about our weather in July.
And we're so by God stubborn we can stand touching noses for a week at a time and never see eye to eye.
What U.S. state? Go ahead, Robin.
Iowa.
Yes, Iowa is mentioned in the title of this musical tribute to the stubbornness that Hill encounters on his arrival. And finally, the composer of the score. Go ahead, Robin.
Meredith Wilson.
You've got the final question. Meredith Wilson from the music.
Kill him.
We'll try a 20-point special here, teams. It's one answer, a phrase, and it gets you 20 points if you get it correct. So a single phrase answer is what I want here. I want you to translate into the common metaphor for it. All celestial masses of water vapor possess a metallic edging. Try it, Jonathan.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
You've got 20 points on that 20-point special. Jonathan gets it for Ontario. Every cloud has a silver lining, and that's the translation of what I was reading. Open question, 30 points. Classical music performers here, teams. Let's see how you do on each of these. What cello super... Go ahead, Robin.
Pablo Casals.
What cello superstar was born of Chinese parents in Paris, France? Offer to Vivek.
Yo-Yo Ma.
Yo-Yo Ma gets you 10. What composer of the soundtracks from many of Spielberg's... Try it, Jonathan.
John Williams.
That's right. Many of Spielberg's films, John Williams is our answer. And what American violinist lost the ability to walk on his own? Try it, Jonathan.
Perlman.
Itzhak Perlman gets you 10 on that after a polio infection in his youth. We move to a European history question now. It's open, 40 points available here, teams. I want you to tell me, first of all, who became France's Restoration monarch? Go ahead, Robin.
Louis
Not there.
XVII.
In 1815, Restoration monarch. Have to offer it to Vivek.
Louis XVIII.
Louis XVIII is what I needed on that. What Prussian leader unified... Go ahead, Jonathan.
Frederick the Great.
It wasn't. What Prussian leader unified Germany with a policy of blood and iron? Robin?
Otto von Bismarck.
Otto von Bismarck gets 10 for you. And who led Italy's red shirts? Go ahead, Vivek.
Garibaldi.
Garibaldi in his bid to unify that country. You've got another 10 on that one. What city is considered the fashion capital of... Go ahead, Vivek.
Milan.
Milan, the fashion capital of Italy. So both teams are firing away on these questions. Let's see how you do on a biology question. And in each case, I want you to identify the phylum to which each of the following belongs. The phylum is what I am looking for in each of these questions. First of all, into which phylum would you put sponges? Try it, William.
Porifera.
Porifera, that's the phylum to which sponges belong. Next, I want the phylum in which you'd find all flatworms. William?
Platyhelminths.
No, not correct. I'll offer it to Nova Scotia for a try. Try it, Robin.
Echinoderms.
They are the platyhelminths, is what I had to have there. And William, you were close, but not quite. And finally, where would I put the star? Try it, Robin.
Echinoderms.
Yes, echinoderms or echinodermata gets the final 10 points on that question. Ready now, teams, for a scramble. 10 points for this first answer and the rights to the second parts. So on your buzzers for 10 points, what country did Maurice Baril... Try it, Vivek.
Rwanda.
What country did Maurice Baril, John McCrae, and Lucy Maud Montgomery call home? Try it, Robin.
Canada.
Canada gets you 10. Second parts go to Nova Scotia. 10 points for each of the following questions dealing with Canada. I want you to tell me what happens, first of all, to Canada's population approximately every 35 years. Robin?
It doubles.
It does indeed double. You get 10 points on that. What act of the British Parliament brought about Confederation? Robin?
The British North America Act.
Another 10 on that question. And finally, what Canadian city is closest to the easternmost point in North America? Go ahead, Robin.
St. John's.
St. John's, Newfoundland. That's the final answer there. So on that team question, from there, we move to short snappers. And we will finish up our round with short snappers and have another score check. Try each of these for 10 teams. What Albanian politician... Go ahead, Vivek.
Hoxha.
No, proclaimed himself king of the Republic of Albania in 1928. Robin?
Zog.
Yes, it was King Zog, correct. A fidelista was a term originating... Go ahead, Aaron.
Juan Perón.
No, it was a term originating in the 1960s for a follower of what revolutionary leader? Vivek?
Fidel Castro.
You've got 10 for that. What young actress's mother made sure her daughters... Go ahead, Jonathan.
Barrymore.
No, made sure her daughter's hair was set each day with exactly 56 curls. Robin.
Judy Garland.
It wasn't. It was Shirley Temple on that question. And which Canadian-born economist was invested... Go ahead, Vivek.
Galbraith.
John Kenneth Galbraith. You get the final snapper on that. We've got an excellent game going so far. Incredibly close. Both teams are right into this one. We'll be back with more action and a score check right after this brief pause on Reach for the Top. Dalhousie University's Sir James Dunn Theatre is witnessing a great struggle today between the team from Ontario. They currently have 300 points as confirmed by the judge. The team from Nova Scotia trails with 270 questions remaining. We're going to start off, teams, with an open question, 30 points on the United Nations. First of all, I want you to tell me who is the current secretary. Go ahead, Vivek.
Kofi Annan.
Kofi Annan is correct for 10 points, Secretary General of the UN. What country has been notorious for its refusal? Try it, Robin.
The United States.
Yes, its refusal to pay back its dues to the organization. U.S. is correct. And what high high-profile Canadian businessman? Try it, Vivek.
Maurice Strong.
Maurice Strong, recently called upon to study the UN's operations. Absolutely true for another 10 points there. Open now on Canadian miscellany. We have a variety of questions here. First of all, which Canadian has won the most Academy Awards, most of which, go ahead, Robin.
Jewison?
No, most of which have been in the sound category. Offer to Ontario for a try. Okay, Vivek.
David Foster.
Douglas Shearer is the answer on that one. Who is pictured on the Canadian Tire? Go ahead, Vivek.
Scrooge.
No, on the Canadian Tire money. Chris.
Sandy McTire.
Sandy McTire, Alexander McTire is his name. Believe it or not, that is the answer. And out of what city would I be flying if my baggage tag has the letters YQ? Try it, Vivek.
Quebec City.
No, the letters YQR. What city is that? Nova Scotia? Give it a try. Anybody have a guess? Okay, Robin?
Whitehorse.
The answer is, in fact, Regina on that, YQR. And don't ask me because I have no idea how most of those abbreviations are arrived at. We've got a scramble question here, teams. 10 points if you get this and the rights to the second parts. Try this one for 10 points. Who was the Polish-born composer who's... Go ahead, Robin.
Chopin?
Chopin, Frederick Chopin. You get 10 points on that one. And the second parts go up to Nova Scotia here, dealing with Chopin. In his career, Chopin was to pay homage to his homeland in a form of composition known as the Polonaise. How many Polonaises did he compose? Offer it to Nova Scotia only on this one. Robin?
7.
There were 11 of them all told. One of the strongest influences on his life came from a French novelist who gained a certain notoriety by wearing men's clothes and smoking cigars. What was her pen name? Try it, Robin.
George Sand.
George Sand is good for another 10. And many of Chopin's classical works have been adapted as popular songs. The old pop song, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, is based on which Chopin composition? I need the name from Nova Scotia. Anyone have a guess? Robin?
Polonaise in A-flat.
It's a Fantaisie Impromptu that we're looking for on that one. Back in it now, Ontario, we've got a wines question here. That's W-I-N-E-S. And the preamble to the question says the following are popular wines named after the towns and regions that produce them. Name the country in which these towns or regions, all famous for their wines, are located. So in each case, I want a country. And first of all, I have Chateauneuf. Go ahead, Jonathan.
France.
France is the answer, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And secondly, I want the country in which Neuchâtel, go ahead, Robin.
California.
In which Neuchâtel is produced. Try it, Vivek.
Germany.
The answer is Switzerland on that one. And finally, in which country would Madeira? Try it, Vivek.
Portugal.
Portugal is correct for 10 points on that answer. We've got a Who Am I question here, 40 points available if you get this one, and 30, 20, and 10 on the remaining clues. So Who Am I question here, start this off with a 40-pointer. I am the Swedish equivalent of Oskar Schindler, having helped many Jewish people escape the horrors of concentration camps. For 40 points, Vivek?
Palme.
No. Who am I? Offer to Nova Scotia. Anybody have a game? No. We will go to the 30-point clue. No one is certain of the date of my death that was stated as 1947. Reports from prisoners who were with me say I was still alive in the 1950s. Some even believe I lived in the 1970s. For 30 points. Who is that? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Borg.
It's not. I'll offer it to Nova Scotia for a try. And nobody has any guess there, so we're going to move on to a 20-point clue. I ran a trading company in Hungary until 1944 when Nazi troops occupied Hungary. For 20 points, who am I? Okay, Vivek?
Saab.
No. Have to go to Horton. And again, they're waving and saying that they don't have a guess, so I'm going to move to the last clue. I managed to escape the Nazis, but was arrested and imprisoned in 1945, having already saved thousands of Jews by issuing them Swedish passports. For 10 points. Who would that be? Okay, Jonathan?
Jan Verblum.
It's not. And Horton has the final opportunity. I'll have to tell you, that's Raoul Wallenberg. Famous person from World War II era, Raoul Wallenberg. Actor, actress quotations. I'll give you the quotation and you tell me who said it or who's reputed to have said it. First of all, I want to be, try it, Jonathan.
Garbo.
Greta Garbo, good for 10 points. I want to be alone. Here's looking at you, kid. Try it, Jonathan.
Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart, you get 10 on that one. And the third one, go ahead. Make, Jonathan?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, go ahead and make my day. Good for another 10 points. When I'm good, I'm... Okay, Jonathan?
Shirley Temple.
When I'm good, I'm very good, but when I'm bad, I'm better. Robin?
Mae West.
Mae West gets that one for 10 points. Geography is the topic here on these two questions. The so-called ABC islands of the Caribbean are Aruba, Curacao, and... Go ahead, Vivek.
Bermuda.
And what other island with a name beginning with the letter B? And I'll offer it to Nova Scotia for a try. Anybody have a guess, Robin?
Bermuda.
The answer is Bonaire on that one, Bonaire. And with which of the islands would I associate a blue-colored liqueur? Vivek?
Curacao.
It's Curacao. You get that one for 10. We have a musical groups question here. You won't hear the music, but I want you to name the musical group who sang or sing the following songs. Your first selection is called Pink. Jonathan?
Aerosmith.
Aerosmith is the one that sings Pink, correct. Next, what group has recorded. Barbie. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Aqua.
Aqua from Denmark. You've got another 10 on that one. And finally, two become... Go ahead, Jonathan.
The Spice Girls.
The Spice Girls, and I was frightened that that question was coming up. Well, let's move to an Oscar-winning director's question here, teams. In this question, each answer has two parts. And I want you to name the director who won the Oscar for the films listed below, the title of the film released under their direction after July 1st, 1997. So name the director and the title of their most recent July 1st, 1997 film. Okay, I'll give you Schindler's List. Robin?
Saving Private Ryan, Steven Spielberg.
That's not the answer, and I'll offer it to Ontario.
What did he do after?
Anybody have a guess? Try it, Jonathan.
Steven Spielberg, The Lost World.
It's Steven Spielberg, and Amistad is the film I need. Okay, try this one. I need the director and the most recent film, If Annie Hall. Robin?
Woody Allen and...
Not there. I have to go to Ontario.
Yeah.
Anybody have a guess? Jonathan?
Woody Allen, Deconstructing Harry.
You do have it for 10 points. Woody Allen, Deconstructing Harry is correct. And finally, the Godfather part. Try it, Jonathan.
Francis Ford Coppola, Kundun.
It's not. I'll offer it to Robin.
Francis Ford Coppola, The Rainmaker.
You've got 10 points for the final question there. And we are moving on to some open questions here. First of all, we have a two-parter which deals with chemistry. I want you to tell me, what is the heaviest of the so-called 6 noble gases? Magny?
Radon?
Radon is correct for 10 points. And who is credited with discovering the periodic table? Try it, Jonathan.
Mendeleev.
Dmitri Mendeleev gets you 10 points on that. We have another scramble question here, a very important scramble for 10 points. I want you to try this one. What planet was hit by Comet Shoemaker? Go ahead, Aaron.
Jupiter.
Jupiter was hit by Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 in 1994. So the second part's going to Nova Scotia, dealing with the planet Jupiter. I want you to tell me first of all, which moon of Jupiter did JPL NASA scientists announce that it may have a huge ocean of liquid water? But we won't get to Europa, which was the answer on that one, because the bell, that means we're going to the short snappers, which will get us the winner in this very exciting final game, or final semi-final game at least. Let's try the short snappers here for 10 points. What organelles in eukaryotic cells oversee aerobic... Go ahead, Robin.
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria gets you 10. Name the Globe and Mail columnist who wrote Red China Blues. Try it, Vivek.
Jan Wong.
Jan Wong, good for 10. Who wrote the classical piece Hungarian... Go ahead, Chris.
Brahms.
It wasn't. Hungarian Fantasy. Try it, Manyi.
Liszt.
Franz Liszt gets you 10 on that. What world organization was chartered in San Francisco? Try it, Jonathan.
The United Nations.
That's right, following the Yalta Conference. What inventor's middle name was Alva? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thomas Edison.
You've got 10 points on that. The Organization of American States is a regional organization of which hemisphere? Try it, Robin.
The Western.
The Western is correct. What famous Irish poet was a minister? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeats.
William Butler Yeats, correct for 10. What donut-shaped device was designed to experiment with controlled nuclear fusion? Try it, Jonathan.
Particle accelerator.
That's not it. I'll offer it to Horton for a try. Anyone have a guess, Robin?
The Atom Smasher.
It's called a tokamak. The portrait masterpiece La Gioconda is best known... Go ahead, Vivek.
The Mona Lisa.
It's best known as the Mona Lisa, correct for 10. Of the following countries, which one is not a member of the European Union? Norway, Sweden... Go ahead, Vivek.
Norway.
Norway is not. You've got 10 points for that. Although it is of African origin, the rumba developed in... Try it, Robin.
The Caribbean.
It developed in which Caribbean country is, in fact, the question. Anybody got a guess? Vivek.
Cuba.
Gets you 10 points with the correct answer, Cuba. What term beginning with I refers to unmixable liquids? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Insoluble.
Unmixable liquids in chemistry. Try it, Nova Scotia, for 10 points. It is, okay, Robin?
Emulsion.
Immiscible on that one. Name the body of water located east of Sardinia. Go ahead, Robin.
The Tyrrhenian Sea.
Tyrrhenian gets you 10. What is the meaning of the French word marteau? Try it, Vivek.
Hammer.
It means hammer. What Canadian city is the home of McCain's... Go ahead. And Vivek doesn't get a chance to say Portage-la-Prairie, McCain's largest French fry factory, because that game is finished off by our siren. And we've had a great game with two fine teams. The score appears to have Ontario winning and moving to the finals, but the judge will render his final decision over the break. We'll be right back with an official score right after this. We're back, and we've witnessed a great game, hotly contested from beginning to end today. The winning team, as determined by the judge, is in fact the team from Gloucester, Ontario, and they have a score of 530 points. And congratulations to the team from Horton, Nova Scotia's representative here today. They have a score of 380 points and have played an excellent game and had a good nationals tournament. I'm Hans Budgie. I've enjoyed doing this game. It's really put me through my paces, and I look forward to the finals, which should put me through even greater paces in the next opportunity. For Hamilton McGuire, our judge, thanks very much, and we'll see you next time, the national finals of Reach for the Top.